Hey, you. Hi. Welcome back to Elly Yaps, where I kind of just yap, where I talk about hot topics that are very interesting to me, and maybe you guys find it interesting. Today's topic is going to be about the very popular conversation piece right now on internet, on Twitter, Reddit, Instagram, or wherever you go to your social media news. Tinder is now thinking, I think, about adding another preference filter for women to choose to filter out short kings. So you'll be able to say, hey, as a woman trying to date a guy, I don't want to date a guy that is below 5'5", or 5'5" and below, or 5'6", or 5'9" below, maybe 6'3" below. A woman doesn't want to date somebody who is below 6 feet. And this is something that Tinder is playing around with. And Tinder is a dating app for those of you who do not know. Usually a hookup app. It used to be more of a quick bang, one night stand kind of app, but it's developed a little bit more now, where people have found their long, loving partners through Tinder. So it's a bit more of a dating / hookup app. I don't know, whatever you want to call it. I'm going to call it a dating / hookup app. And there's a huge uproar of short kings on the internet who are really mad that this has become a preference slider. I'll use some quotes that I've seen online by very angry short men saying, oh, yeah, well, next we're going to start adding a weight filter. We're going to start adding a weight filter. They should add a weight filter. As if women are the only species capable of getting fat here. I don't understand the logic behind that. I just think we're going back to where we're insulting women because they're fat, and then women going to go and insult men because they're small penises. This is some trivialized, some weird, elementary stabs at genders. Men are also capable of being short and fat. So it doesn't really help your case, men, if they added a weight filter, because that would filter more of you guys as well. So I wanted to talk about how does Elly think that this problem will be fixed? This problem where you see a clear imbalance between men and women in the dating scene. You see women with these high egos, right? And these high standards of like, I will not date a guy who makes less than 6 figures, is blue eyes, 6'5" in finance. You have these super high standards with women, which I'm not against, by the way. I think, as a matter of fact, I think men should have more standards. And that's something that we're going to talk about on my plan to fix the men and women dating situation that's currently going on. So we're setting it up. Women have this higher than thou mentality where they get to pick and they get to be they should be able to pick. I don't want you guys to misquote me. Where you have these less than beautiful women on these pedestals that are having such high standards and this and that, and demanding this and demanding that from men, and it feels like men are climbing this uphill battle that they just can't win, right? Men are increasingly becoming, well, they're lonely, they can't find a mate because these standards are getting too ridiculous for some women, and so it feels like men are punching upwards while women are on the top of the dating scene, on top of the food chain. And you hear a lot of like these incels now that are part of the Hustler University with Andrew Tate, who is not a very great spokesperson for young men out there. I think he has really good takes, but it's rooted in misogynistic values and this and that. I think he's great in some ways, but bad in a lot of other ways. So you have this mentality now of these young men. They're like, they hate women. They think you can clearly see by them throwing in there, oh, we should have a weight filter now. It's every dig at a woman possible. And honestly, I think the problem here, and I'm going to say it, and this is, I think, the problem, and I'll give you guys the solution. I think the problem is that men don't have standards. Now, hold up, that's a take. But I don't think men have as high enough standards that women do. So what this creates is this inflated ego of putting a woman in a pedestal where she's unreachable. She's this god, she's this Cleopatra, and she can demand who she wants to sleep with, as she should, by the way. I don't want to take that away from women. They should definitely have that option. But you see where we're getting at. When men start putting these women on ridiculous, high, unreachable pedestals, and you can't knock him down now. Now, every woman is uplifted. Every woman is uplifted, be it by themselves, women uplifting other women, or men just uplifting women in general. Then it's hard for a man to reach that. They put them too high. So a way to fix this is, how about you work on yourselves, men? Have higher standards for yourselves. If these bigger, uglier women are getting laid by you, how about you just don't do that? How about we start, how about we as in like men, how about you guys just start, or as a society, uplifting yourselves to have higher standards, and then women will lower their standards because they're not getting banged. They're not getting any more dates because you're not dating them anymore. Guess what's going to happen? They're going to start chasing you. Women are going to start chasing you. Women are going to start asking you for dates because they want it, because they're not getting it anymore. You know, at the end of the day, we are all hopeless romantics and we want to be in a relationship. So if women aren't getting these dates because now you have higher standards, you're balancing out the unevenness or the unbalance. You're trying to balance them by having higher standards and not just banging anybody that throws it your way. Women would start lowering their standards and they will start even chasing you. This is like basic psychology. You know, it's kind of like we want what we can't have almost situation. I'm not sure if this applies here, but it is a very, it's a tactic that oftentimes women use as well. They ignore a guy and the guy gets crazy because the guy wants that. The guy is the hunter. He wants that meat. And it's this like tug of war thing between not getting what you want and it drives you insane. So that also can apply to women. If you stop giving women what they desperately want and crave, they would lower their standards. Trust and believe. Women will start lowering their standards and they will start dating more. They'll start dating you more. But look, at the end of the day, I think this is the solution. Work on your self-image, young men. Think about your future. Have some standards and watch everything fall into place. Build your confidence, build your self-esteem, and watch it all just come to you. Stop chasing. Don't do the whole chasing thing. It's the psychology behind it. And it really sucks that we have to play these games. People can see it as a game, but it is what it is. You know, the whole love thing, the whole relationship thing is a game. It sucks, but yeah, never chase. I don't think you guys should be chasing women. I don't think you should be insulting women either on your journey to find happiness and a mate. You don't need to put women down. You don't need to do that. Number one, you're not doing yourselves any favor. It's not like you're just going to become gay and start dating men, right? You're not going to do that. You still want to, at the end of the day, date a woman. So stop hating on women. Women are not the issue here. It is your own self-doing. Have some standards. Build your confidence. Have some standards, build some confidence, work on your self-image and on yourself in general. Have a good mental going into this. You don't need to hate on women and you don't need to put them down to build yourself up. If you do that, that's a cheap way to do it. And you're not really accomplishing anything other than negativity. And women are not attracted to somebody who is constantly negative either. Build your confidence. It's one of the biggest things I can tell you. And how do you build confidence? Well, that differs from person to person. Some people have a dopamine kick by really focusing on their job and making money. Some people build a lot of confidence by having that FU money. Some people have it based off their physical appearance. You know, start working out, get the gym gains. Maybe dressing nice builds your confidence. Get yourself a nice little Gucci shirt or whatever you're into. Dress nice, smell nice. Whatever it is that builds your confidence, work towards that. And again, everything else around you will fall into place, even women. But I don't think that women having high standards is a problem. In fact, I think the fact that you don't have high standards is a problem. And one of the problems that this causes in future relationships as well is that some people that don't have any standards get into a relationship and they end up doing a dysfunctional mess. You end up a year in a toxic relationship because you did not vet your significant other in the dating process. You took whatever girl said hi to you first, and she took you because maybe you came across as very confident, and then y'all got into a relationship and y'all don't even like each other because y'all didn't have standards. Get some standards. Get some values. If you don't want a woman with tattoos and it's something that puts you off, say no. If you don't like a woman that has 2 kids already, say no, bro. There's nothing wrong with that. You shouldn't have to feel forced to date something you don't want to date. If you don't want to date an obese woman, good on you, man. Don't do it. If you don't want to date a broke girl, don't do it. Have some standards, men. Don't just pick up anything. And this is for women too, that maybe there's a woman in here that probably has very low standards as well. Hey, you don't have to settle for the first guy that says hi to you either. You know, same thing for you, men. Have a couple of standards for yourselves. So this is something that I wanted to talk to you guys about, and my take on it, TLDR, my take on the standard thing is that there's no problem with standards. I don't think Tinder is doing anything wrong by playing around with the idea of adding a height filter. That's a good thing. You don't have to deal with a woman that hates you for your height. Congratulations. A height filter is amazing. You don't have to go on, buy this woman 5 dates, 5 meals to then discover that she's not into you because of your height. Congratulations. This is nothing but a good thing. Standards and all this and all these things are a great thing. Have some self-worth, have some standards, build that confidence. I am doing this live on my Twitch, twitch.tv/Elly. And I told my chat if they can have questions for this last portion, that I would be answering questions. So anybody in my chat have a final question? Elly, could men fear setting high standards because they worry they'll be alone? Yeah, there are some men that probably have that fear of maybe they'll end up alone, so they don't want to play around with the standards, right? So they're like, hey, I'm just happy with whatever I get. That could be the thing. But is being alone really such a bad thing? I don't think so. I think it's better to be alone than in bad company. That is something that my granny always said. It's better to be alone than in bad company. Being alone is not so bad. And trust me, again, I think the chase and chasing people, women can pick that up. Desperation. And desperation is not attractive. So if you kind of just chill, kind of low-key play it, work on your self-image, trust me, things will fall into place. You won't die alone. You'll be fine. You'll find a woman that is attracted to that sort of stuff. And if at the end of the day, you don't find a woman that wants to be with you, you've worked on yourself. You're probably successful in your life now by not chasing women around. you're crying in your Ferrari that you're single. Congratulations, you have a Ferrari. It's not a bad thing to be single. Let's see. Elly, doesn't this height filter also work in men's favor? I.e., not wanting to date a too short or a too tall woman. Now that I thought about it, I don't get the outrage now. Yeah, it would work on men's favor as well. But men are less picky about the height of a woman, though. You know, men in general, I would like to assume that men in general are not that picky. Period. I think that men aren't as picky as women. I think that's fair to say. Sure, some men are picky. Not every man is the same, but I think I wouldn't be too wrong by assuming that men are less picky than women. Yeah. Yeah, so I mean, if we don't have any more questions, I think this is where we're in this YouTube video. Yeah. As far as I'm concerned, though, chat, and I'm not saying this for a paycheck, though rent is due. As far as I'm concerned, I would be able to date a guy who is shorter than me. I'm 5'7". I would be able to date a 5'5", a 5'4". We're getting a little bit scary territory in the 5'4" below, you know. But I'd package you up. Sure, why not? That sounds good. Not really a question, but I think young men do need to pick better role models. Absolutely. I agree. I think men need better role models out there. Yeah. That is absolutely true. And this is not I didn't make this video to put men down, by the way. I didn't make this video to put women down. I just think we lost sight of the goal here. I think often in times you hear you're either for this or you're for that, and nothing in between. With men putting women down and women shitting on men. Not figuratively. It's not about men versus women. I think people need to work on themselves than worried about what the other person is. Also, it sounds really weird and cringe and kind of like a desperate move to be complaining that women have standards. And that sounds really cringe. It sounds like a person begging for friends or a person saying, "Oh, but why don't you want to play with me?" Bro, have a fucking spine. Grow a backbone. If somebody doesn't want to mess with you, there'll be many. There will be plenty. There's plenty of fish in the sea. Don't sit there and like ask for that attention. That's not attractive. Yeah. And yeah, what do you guys think about this topic? Leave a comment, like, and subscribe. Not so fast. Hit that subscription button before you head out. How about that?